Today we're going to see the second and third angels of Revelation 14 proclaiming their message, and it's pretty important. Stay tuned.
Holy Spirit, come and refresh me. Holy Spirit, come.
Welcome to Through the Bible in 5 Minutes, and I'm your host, Brad Keeney. And today we're looking at episode 53, Revelation 14, verses 8 through 12. And we're going to be talking about Babylon. It's going to be talking about the mark of the beast and things too, though. So stay tuned with that. And it's the clearest evidence that you can't take the mark of the beast and be okay. But I want to say a little bit about Babylon first, because this Babylonian theme has been throughout entire Scripture pretty much. Remember, it started in Genesis chapter 11. Where there was idolatry going on. These people were building a stairway to heaven. They didn't need God. They can do it themselves. We can all pull together as a world and do it ourselves. Well, that kind of theme we see somewhat today as we see the world pulling together. And remember also that we've seen previously, Daniel chapter 7, verse 24, we talked about in some of our discussion topics, that we see that there's a one world government coming. It's the fourth beast of Daniel chapter 7 is what it's described as. And it has 10 horns, and then a little horn comes up and supplants 3 of them in chapter 7, verse 24 of Daniel. And so we see that's the beginning of the mark of the beast, and the beast himself. But remember, the one world government comes first. We know from there. And that's what we kind of see today as things are pulling together. We don't need God. We don't need to pray about the virus, for example. And as I record this also, it's December of 2021. We can do this ourselves. So let's not pray about it. Let's just go out and do what we need to do. And I'm not saying that doing what's reasonable is wrong. It's good. I'm just saying that when we count on that apart from God, that's kind of like building the Tower of Babel. And remember, this Babylon theme, it could be a political system, could be a religious system, it could be an actual literal city, could be all of them. Remember, in the Bible, for example, we see a picture of Moses. And that's historical, but then Jesus comes in, and it was a picture of him actually coming. We see in Boaz in the book of Ruth where he redeems Ruth. And in that situation, that's a picture of Jesus redeeming us. So there's literal and historical things, and it may be a real city, but also it's a picture of a political and religious system. I think it's all of them. But at any rate, that having been said, let's get started. Revelation 14, verse 8. And another angel followed them, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. So again, we see here this picture of what you give out comes back to you. That is true. That's what you do comes back to you. That's a scriptural principle, and Babylon is going to fall. When it says fallen twice, it's reiterating this is fallen for sure. Now the interesting thing is, again, remember I have a discussion topic also on the cyclic nature of these things repeating. And remember, Babylon's falling again is mentioned in 17 and 18 of Revelation, in those chapters. So it's something to think about. But at any rate, we see, because I believe that 12 through 14, maybe, I could be wrong. Remember, we can agree to disagree on these things too. But I believe that chapter 8 through 11, and chapter 12 through 14, and chapter 15 through 19 may be giving the same events from different perspectives. So there's a discussion topic talking about that, if you want to consider it. And again, I could be wrong, but it's just interesting. We see some interesting things there. But moving on to verse 9. Then the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives the mark on his forehead or on his hand, he himself shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out full strength into the cup of his indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. So looking at that, we see very clearly there is no such thing as, well, I'll take the mark of the beast, but I won't worship him. That doesn't work that way. You take the mark of the beast, you're in trouble. Now again, we that's a very specific thing. It has not come yet. as of I mentioned the date before. I'm sure of that. Some people talk about the vaccine as being that. It is not the mark of the beast. There's a list of qualifications. And actually, I have a discussion topic on that as well, where the whole, everywhere the mark of the beast is mentioned, it gives different qualifications, and you can see clearly that it needs to meet all those qualifications, or it's not the mark. But at any rate, that being aside, the point is, when you take it, you're sunk. You just are. But remember, we've also looked at previously, in the original Greek, and as we read through this, it sounds like you worship the beast and take his mark. Like, what if I don't do the and, if I just take the mark? That doesn't go that way. The way it's worded, again, in Greek, and it's clear when you read it that way, and I had a native Greek speaker read that for me, is that since you worship the beast, of course you have his mark. Or, we have the mark of the beast, I see, so you must worship him. The two go together. They're not separated. When it says and, it's because they go together, not because, well, I could do one and not the other. So I want to be clear about that. And here's the key right here, verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are those who kept the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. So it's the patience of the saints. It's difficult. There's some tough times ahead. We need to be strong. Now, it's interesting, too, because some people who are Calvinists believe that, well, this is a clear statement that you can't lose your salvation. It's the patience of the saints. They're never going to walk away. But then there's other people who look at it as, well, apparently if God's telling us to keep the patience of the saints, it's going to be difficult, and he encourages us to continue walking with him. Maybe we can walk away. Again, that's a debatable issue. I can see both sides of that. But at any rate, I didn't want to get into that. But I want to just point that out for your discussion. So again, hopefully we'll see you next time in episode 54 on Through the Bible in 5 Minutes. God bless.